Please do be seated. As Secretary and Clerk, it is my privilege and pleasure to welcome you to this morning's graduation ceremony. Graduation ceremonies follow a tradition that began in the 15th century, and that tradition has developed since. Roughly translated, graduation means taking a step, and graduation symbolizes the move of the former student, now called a graduand, into a new role in wider society as a graduate, there to use the talents developed as a member of this academic society. Each graduand will cross the stage and shake hands with the Vice-Chancellor to symbolize their transition to this new role, and we will applaud them for their success so far and in anticipation of their contribution to society in future. At the end of the ceremony, the Vice-Chancellor will formally admit all those who have crossed the stage, symbolizing that each and every graduate is now incorporated into the community of scholars. As new members of this community, as the academic procession leaves the stage, the new graduates will join the procession, and that will conclude the proceedings. During the ceremony, those graduating with higher degrees will have their hood placed on them by the Vice-Chancellor to mark that they have attained the very highest levels of academic achievement. It is now time to begin our formal proceedings, and so I hereby declare the ceremony to be in session, and I call upon the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Ian Martin, to address you. Vice-Chancellor.
Graduands, family, friends, colleagues, as Vice-Chancellor of Anglia Ruskin University, it's my very great pleasure to be here today at this your graduation ceremony. This is my first year at Anglia Ruskin, and this autumn's graduations are the first that I'm fortunate enough to be part of. Congratulations on reaching this milestone and graduating from your chosen course. Today, it's not only an opportunity to take stock and celebrate your achievements to date, but also to look forward to what the future might hold and the multitude of careers that stretch in front of each of you. Those careers will undoubtedly be wide and varied, but they will be joined by a common theme that will touch on all of you. That theme is change, and unpredictable change at that. My own academic background is medicine, but even before I started going down the medical path, I had an interest in computing and digital technology. I've kept that going. My two daughters have unkindly referred to me as a geek, or worse, but I'm not bringing that today. I'm going to use a little of both of those experiences to put in context what I mean. It was the German philosopher Hegel who first commented that the only thing we learn from history is that we learn nothing from history. He may have been right in some contexts, but he was absolutely wrong in one, and that is we have learnt from history that we are terrible at predicting the future. What do I mean? Some historical examples. Start with the 19th century. The telephone has too many shortcomings to be seriously considered as a means of communication. Western Union internal memo in 1876. We can laugh at the Americans, but the Brits were not much better. The Americans have need of the telephone, but we do not. We have plenty of messenger boys. Sir William Preece, who was the chief engineer at the post office, again in 1876. You would have thought people would learn, but they didn't. Thomas Watson, who ran IBM in the 1940s and 50s. I think there is a world market for maybe 5 computers. We didn't get any better. Ken Olsen ran DEC in the 1970s, and DEC at the time was the biggest computer manufacturer in the world. There is no reason in the world anyone would want a computer in their home. No reason. A name much more familiar to all of you, Bill Gates in the 1980s. 640K of RAM should be enough for anybody. I could go on, but I've probably made a point. What relevance does it have to today? Well, 3 things perhaps. Firstly, it's almost inevitable that the environment you work in will be very, very different by the time you retire. Secondly, we definitely learnt this, you're going to fail if you try too hard to predict that future. But finally, and I think most importantly for today, as graduates, you've got an individual and a collective duty to help shape that future positively. Your career, if you're graduating from your first degree today, is likely to cover at least the next 45 years, and if pensions get much worse, it's probably going to be significantly longer. What's the world going to be like in 45, 46 years' time? Well, as I've said, we don't know. But we do know there will be change of a magnitude that you really can't imagine. Let's look back 46 years, 1970, and see what's changed since then to put some idea on the context that you might see. 1970, I know, is history textbook stuff for many of you. The Cold War was at its peak. The Vietnam War was raging. Richard Nixon was the US president. There were 2 Germanys, and no one could have foreseen that less than 2 decades or 2 decades later that this was about to change peacefully. The Beatles, who you may have heard of, had yet to split up. Relevant to today, less than 10% of the population went to university, a figure now 40%. If you were born in 1970, your average life expectancy was predicted to be 65 to 68 years. It's now more than a decade older. In 1970, a gallon, we used gallons then, cost around 20 pence, or for most people, considering we only just had decimalisation, it was still 4 shillings. Commercial jet travel, which we all use now, was almost unheard of for all but the very rich. Of all the technologies that have changed the last 2 decades, digital technologies have had the greatest impact on the greatest number, you could argue. In 1970, things were still pretty limited. Probably the best computer you could buy at the time, and indeed probably the great-grandfather or grandmother of the desktop computer you have at home, was made by IBM. By modern standards, it was pretty pathetic. It ran at around 1/200,000th of the speed of that same computer you have sitting at home, and it was not very well equipped. Started out with 8 kilobytes of memory. And that memory was ridiculously expensive. I couldn't find a 1970 price list, but I could find a 1979 announcement of a major price cut of memory for the latest incarnation of that machine. Memory fell from 75,000 US a megabyte to 50,000 US a megabyte. That in itself is staggering, but put that in context. The iPhone, the Android phone you have in your pocket, at that cost, would be worth around 1.6 billion US dollars. The challenge for you is what current $1 billion technology is going to be in people's pockets by the time you retire. Just as technology has changed, my professional area has changed in many cases beyond recognition. In 1970, there was still a minority of school kids who were in calipers because of childhood polio, something gratifyingly none of you will now see, a fact conveniently lost on those who argue against immunisation. The chance of surviving childhood cancer has increased year on year for 3 generations. And to return to the technology theme, we've got abilities to image, diagnose, treat and assess in ways that even when I graduated in the 1980s would have been unimaginable, let alone the 1970s. I've talked a lot about technology, but technology on its own is not enough. If society is going to benefit, then we need far more. Bertrand Russell, in his monograph Unpopular Essays, commented, "Change is one thing, progress is another. Change is scientific, progress is ethical. Change is indubitable, whereas progress is a matter of controversy." Technology-driven change becomes real progress when it is paired with considered thought, good quality policy evaluation, outstanding design, and many, many other aspects of creativity. There is no doubt that we will not fully reap the benefits of technology without matched strengths in the humanities and the creative arts. Without great design, many technologies will not deliver their full potential, and without good law, policy, and thinking, society will not be able to fully benefit from those advances. The progress that technology has given us is in a large part only possible because of the parallel strands of education and research. The two things that define the university as a concept, and this university in particular. They are why the university and a university education are so important, and why you have worked so hard to be here today. Whatever career you enter, embrace change and advances. Enjoy challenging, provoking, implementing new ideas. Whatever else, don't be so proud as to not recognise the inevitability of that change and how it will challenge you during your career. To return to Bertrand Russell, the demand for certainty is one which is natural to man, but is nevertheless an intellectual vice. So long as men are not trained to withhold judgment in the absence of evidence, they will be led astray by cocksure prophets, and it is likely their leaders will either be ignorant fanatics or dishonest charlatans. To endure uncertainty is difficult, but so are most of the other virtues. Your challenge as our graduates is to make sure you embrace and lead that change. At ARU, we're committed to delivering an outstanding education for our students, carrying out research and innovation whose results transform lives and communities, and working to support the economic, social, and cultural well-being of the communities we serve. We strive to see each of these aspects improve year on year, and this year has absolutely been no exception. We had our best ever results in the National Student Survey. The Sunday Times UK rankings placed the educational experience you've had as being amongst the top 20 in the country. And for the first time in our very short 24 years as a university, we featured in the prestigious Times Higher Global University Rankings, which places this, our university, among the top 2 to 5% of institutions in the world. You, as our graduates, are a key part of that success, and we thank you all. Before I close, I have to make special mention of your family, friends, and supporters who've provided you with support in many forms, moral, spiritual, physical, and I suspect all too often financial, that's supported and facilitated your educational journey to today. On behalf of everybody here, staff and graduates, Thank you to all those in the room who've given that support almost invariably, unselfishly and unquestioningly. I would also like to thank and acknowledge the staff across the university who've contributed to so many aspects of your educational experience, together with our governing board, whose wisdom and guidance has helped shape this, our university. I wish you well in wherever your degree takes you. I hope you continue a relationship with us in the coming years. After all, as a graduate now, your success and our success are absolutely and inextricably linked. Enjoy the day. Once again, congratulations. And Anglia Ruskin would not be where it is today without all of you. Thank you.
We now come to the presentation of those receiving awards today to the Vice-Chancellor. And I should explain at this point that each year we have a competition for the loudest applause at one of these ceremonies. Now, after last night, your faculty is ahead just. So let's see how you can do this morning. I now call upon the Dean of Arts, Law and Social Sciences, Professor Martin Hewitt, to read the names of those who will be presented from the Faculty of Arts, Law and Social Sciences. Professor Hewitt.
Vice-Chancellor, it is my pleasure to present to you graduates from the Faculty of Arts, Law and Social Sciences. For the award of Bachelor of Arts with Honours, Arts and Humanities, Dace Anderson. Laurel Chambers. T. Diem Quinn Nguyen. Michael Oyediran. Sophie Jane Thomas. Dylan Yates. For the award of Bachelor of Arts with Honours History, Rejwana Akhtar Hanan. Benjamin Jared Bagu. Charlotte Bell. Amy Blompier. Tom Boddy. Stephen Brown. Jonathan Alexander Caracca. Luca James Angelo Cherea. Christoph Chauhan. Cameron Collard. Nathan Connolly. Jack Curl. Harry Davey. Nicholas Davey. Oliver Woodville Dawson. Shannon Dolan. Amber Dyer. Fiza Ijaz. Thomas Ellis. Chris Field. Emily Finch. Jessica Louise Finch. Thomas Franklin. Bradley Mark Goff. Kirk Grafstein. Luke Greenaway. Rebecca Hanley. Veronica Harradence. Felix Harris Hercules. James Hatherill. Lurhall Henry. Max Thomas Henry. Jack Hobban, Shona Hoy, Zachary Huggins, Evan Johnson, Joseph Nappert, Catherine Lapworth, Charlie Lewis, Amy Louise Long, Ali Nafi Luca, Luke Patience Matthews, Robson Medler, Rihanna Mockett, Joseph Moon, Elizabeth Murray Smith, Claire Newborough, Nathan Plumridge, Elizabeth Jane Johnson Quincy, Oliver Raby, Charles Alexander Redwood, George Jonas Rhodes, Sean Kieran Ryan, Holly Saunders, Jack Sayer, Toby Shaw, Elizabeth Smith, Alice Thompson, and also receiving the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences Prize and the Thomas Davis History Prize, Catherine Turner. William James Downing Voden, Hayley Wardrop, Sarah Wybrow, Rhiannon Yardley. For the award of Foundation Degree in the Arts Public Service, Habil Mia, Jessica Whiffen. For the award of Bachelor of Arts with Honours Public Service, Yasmin Begum, Simon Bourne, Catherine Ann Button, Simon Cannon, Levi Rakaya Timothy Frostick, Kit Richard Gaskin, Samantha Margaret Gibson, Bethany Gresley Jones, and also receiving the prize for Best Major Project in Public Service, Andre Ha-Cheng, Michael James, Gemma Louise Mason, Zoe Munger, Eleanor Page, Elida Tays, Jamie Vexler, Ozkan Yalim, Jan Zayats. For the award of Bachelor of Arts with Honours Sociology, Ediz Emi Emmanuel Alamene, Abigail Louise Apiaje, Margaret Arasamwan, Amanda B. Fernando, Alice Collin, Alice Crouch, Ifeyinwa Egele, Jodie Ann Gent, Rebecca Eve Hack. Rosie Hayington. Manpreet Jir. Sharon Kerridge. Robin Parry. Eloise Bethany Powell. Lauren Tappenden. Georgina Taylor. Reuben Thompson. Rebecca Amelia Louise Tibbs. Seema Verma. Vice-Chancellor, that partially completes the list of graduates for me to present to you today.
We have many distinguished academics at Anglia Ruskin University, and now I would invite one of our senior colleagues, Dr. Sean Lang, to offer a few words.
Vice-Chancellor, graduates, ladies and gentlemen. What is the use of speaking if you have nothing to say? What is the use of being able to think if you have nothing to think of? So said John Ruskin when, in 1858, he opened the Cambridge School of Art. It had been intended by its founders to be a school of art for Cambridge University, but the Cambridge Dons didn't think fine art suitable for university study and turned it down. Their loss was our gain. For that School of Art has grown into the university and academic community we proudly parade and celebrate today. And rightly so, for today is a proud day. Here on this stage, we, your teachers and lecturers, take enormous pride in your achievement, more pride than perhaps you can imagine. Partly because it is always good to see a student develop, flourish and succeed, and everyone who crosses this stage has succeeded. But also because ours is a university committed to spreading higher level learning and education to a wider section of our community, from across the country and from across the world, than Ruskin could ever have dreamed of. And you represent the fulfillment of that ideal, of that belief. To the families and friends sitting upstairs or at the side, I say, you can take pride in today because no one knows as well as you the story of hurdles crossed, of challenges faced, of opportunities missed and opportunities taken, of hope, disappointment, encouragement and determination that lies behind each and every one of the people who walk across this simple platform. You have seen it, supported it, and helped make it happen. And we all of us owe you a huge debt. And to the graduates, whatever the degree it is that you are receiving today, walk tall across this stage and walk tall into the world. Because you have tested yourselves against the highest standards there are. Standards of academic excellence, of perseverance, of initiative and enterprise, sometimes of courage, and often of character. You have been tested beyond anything you can have imagined when you first applied to come here. And today is your day of triumph, and you can be very proud. But make no mistake, this graduation ceremony is a milestone, but it is not an end. For every one of you, today marks a beginning even greater than when you first came here. Let me illustrate what I mean. A few years ago, a girl walked across this stage dressed exactly as you are, in Anglia Ruskin gown, hood and cap, and she received a degree in history. She nearly didn't make it this far. She came from a council estate in East London, and she found that leaving the environment where she had grown up and coming here to Cambridge was a big step, one she was by no means sure of. She found the work hard, and for whatever reason, she found it difficult to get to know many people on her course. Her marks were disappointing, and her attendance began to drop away. When I spoke to her, she was unsure about whether or not to carry on, or whether it would be best to give it all up and go back to Newham. I didn't try to persuade her of the merits of the course or even of the university, but I did assure her that we would not let her down and that we would support her in any way she needed. And then I asked her what she wanted to do in Newham. She loved the neighbourhood, but she knew it needed change, that it needed people to fight for it, to stand up for it, to offer leadership to others who would not know how to provide it for themselves. She wanted to give that leadership, but she felt ill-equipped, uncertain, rather daunted by it all. I didn't need to persuade her to stay and to work at her course. She had persuaded herself. She came back on board, she attended lectures again, she submitted work on time, and on a day exactly like this, she graduated. And she went back to Newham, and she got involved, head on. Occasionally, I've been asked to provide a reference for her. At first, it was local charities, then the local council, then a political party for whom she worked at the House of Commons. That's what John Ruskin meant. To learn to read, to learn to think, to learn to speak. These are splendid things, but they can do little good if you have not learned to see. To see the world as it is. To see its problems, its injustices, its abuses, its crimes, and the human pain and need that is all around us, often in front of our eyes, staring us in the face. That is your battlefield. That is where you are called on to fight. Because you are fighters, that is what the academic robes you wear signify. They have come down to us from the habits and hoods of the monks who formed the first colleges and universities, communities of scholars, many of them here in Cambridge. They devoted themselves to understanding the world by studying its structure, by seeking new knowledge and new understanding, and by contemplating and reflecting on its meaning. But theirs was also an active calling. They were animated by faith, and faith without action is a poor thing. So they founded schools, they built hospitals and hostels, and they applied their knowledge to the service of all. Theirs was not learning for learning's sake, and neither must yours be. You may not realize it yet, but your achievement today has changed your life. It can take time to shake off the habits and the hours of student life, though you will find that most jobs are pretty good at it. But you have had your eyes opened, your horizons extended. You know more than you did when you started. Not just extra things or facts, but you know and understand far more about how this world works and why. You can speak from extensive knowledge. You can offer an opinion worth listening to. Your being at Anglia Ruskin has made your life different, and that difference will last. But that is only part of what today is about. Because in the end, it is not the difference your degree makes to your life that matters, but the difference your degree makes to the lives of others. So go into battle. When you hear wild assertions backed by nothing more than prejudice or ignorance, gird your gown around you, metaphorically, and speak out. Challenge the ill-informed. Expose the specious or the shallow. Make yourselves awkward and uncomfortable, and yes, unpopular, with those who would rather you kept quiet. Learning carries its responsibilities, and these now start in earnest. So when you leave this hall, remember these 5 things. 1. Question. Question those in power or those who preach nonsense, especially dangerous nonsense. But question also those you support, those with whom you sympathize or agree. The best friend is a critical friend, and there's no better way to strengthen the right than to question and test it. And you must do this, because very few others will. 2, listen. No matter how much you know, no matter how expert your grasp, you always have something to learn from others. And if you have listened to others, you will have something to say worth listening to. And remember that the sign of an educated mind is not that it boasts of what it knows, but that it is humbled by how much it still has to learn. 3, argue. Use the intellectual skills you have honed and sharpened as students here. Arm yourself in evidence, in knowledge, in insight, and use them. Intellectual argument is a formidable weapon in the hands of those who know how to use it. Be of their number. 4, protect. Not everyone has your advantages. Not everyone can argue or speak for themselves. Not everyone has your knowledge or your expertise. If you are an elite, and you are, it is because you have a responsibility, a duty to protect those who are not. Never forget this. Never fail in it. And 5, lead. You may or may not consider yourself a natural leader, but as a university graduate, you will find that others will look to you for leadership, for guidance, for reassurance, and rightly so. Because if you don't lead, others will do it for you, and you may not like the direction in which they take you. So find the voiceless, the weak, the powerless, and be their champion. It may take courage, but you will find that standing for right brings a courage of its own. John Ruskin can rest easy. The graduates of the university that bears his name have plenty to say, plenty to think, and much to do. So go out of those doors at the back into the world and let the world see the caliber of an Anglia Ruskin graduate.
Sean, thank you. We now continue the presentation of those receiving awards today to the Vice-Chancellor, and I call again on Pro-Vice-Chancellor and Dean, Professor Martin Hewitt, to return to read the names of those who will be presented from the Faculty of Arts, Law and Social Sciences.
Vice-Chancellor, it's my pleasure to continue to present to you graduates from the Faculty of Arts, Law and Social Sciences. For the award of Bachelor of Arts, Philosophy, Chris Horner. For the award of Bachelor of Arts with Honours Philosophy, Ben Mario Amatruda. Callum David Downs. Fiona Drury. Jacob Dyer. Liam Hatherley. Ethan Jupp. Matthew Adam Jacob Lloyd. Freya Christina McPhee. James McGee. And also receiving the prize for the Best Major Project in Philosophy and Literature, Caris Newman. Emma Rosemary Ann Richardson. David Ian Harold Walker. For the award of Bachelor of Arts with Honours Philosophy and English Literature, Lauren Fiddler. For the award of Bachelor of Arts with Honours Criminology and Sociology, Rafi Ahmed. Savannah Dutoit. Lauren Elmer. Natasha Faulkner. Catherine Francis. Lauren Harrison. Fatma Binta Jallo. Olivia Kemble-Clarkson. Ronika McGilvery. Lucy Murphy. Tiffany Tolu Orepo. Laurel Maria Pryor. Emily Sherman. Kerin Nicole Smith. Emilia Thailander. And now we have a posthumous award for Cheyenne Louise Williams, which will be collected by her father, Martin Williams. For the award of Bachelor of Arts, Criminology, Jennifer Barbara Rolls. For the award of Bachelor of Arts with Honours Criminology, Sarah Adrian. Nargiz Alamova. Rachel Joyce Allen. Nathan Donald George Archer. And also receiving the prize for the Best Major Project in Criminology, Eleanor Holly Attenborough. Philippa Ball. Imogen Bradley. Laura Jenny Brown. Camila Rose Kassam. Bethany Clark. Emily Conway. Natalie Jane Day. Jennifer Holly Dean. Isabel Deval. Alexander Devonish. Nicolee Antonia Duffus. Chloe Rebecca Flux. Annabelle Gomez Marin. Rebecca Louise Hirons. Chloe Kate Howson. Chris Jones. Gloria Kamara. Lucy Keach. Emily Keach. Joseph James Kinsella. Rebecca Linda. Shanice Martin. Heather May McMahon. Gorette Moreno. Salome Munapi. June Nerlien. Rihanna North. Grant O'Brien. Rosie O'Grady. Kinara Nitichandra Patel. Devon Pinches. Fern Powley. Katie Jane Reed. Edward Richmond. Olivia Sharp. Megan Faye Steely. Katie Stewardson. Ashanti Suku Scott. Alexander Summerhill. Hevin Tasman. And also receiving the prize for the Best Major Project in Criminology, Alexandra Tooley. Daniel Unit. Fionn Varney. Awas Wakar. Megan Ward. Sophie Watson. And also receiving the prize for the Best Major Project in Criminology, Tara Louise Webb. Alexandra White. And also receiving the Anglia Trust Foundation Scholarship and the Cheyenne Williams Prize for Best Major Project in Criminology and Sociology, Rhiann Whitehead. For the award of Master of Arts, Criminology, Marini Claudia Chamberlain Diogo. Oyeyemi Helen Odejinmi. Jessica Rowe. James Mitchell Wilbur. For the award of Master of Arts, International Relations, Farah Zaid S. Al-Barkit. For the award of Postgraduate Diploma, Christian Theology, Jane Wright. For the award of Master of Arts, Christian Theology, William Edward Fletcher. For the award of Master of Arts, Pastoral Theology, Susan Boland. Audrey Brand. Anthony Brooks. Ray Martin Berman. Unesu Audrey Chindabata. Margaret Elizabeth Dudley. Keith Charles Morrison. Chantal Noppen. For the award of Master of Arts, Sociology, Kazumi Chatharantha Atanayaka. Tariro Sharon Nazira Masanga. Philippa Sanders. For the award of Master of Arts, Transnational Crime, Robert Edward Ian Gibbs. Emma Lee. Thomas Martlew. Vice-Chancellor, it is my pleasure to present those who have been awarded higher research degrees. For the award of Professional Doctorate for a thesis entitled Supporting and Interpreting Virtue, a Chaplaincy Narrative, Peter John Haler. For the award of a Professional Doctorate for a thesis entitled Friends, Family or Foe, Fostering Good Relationships Between Lay Leaders and the Newly Appointed Ordained, Elizabeth Jordan. For the award of Doctor of Philosophy for a thesis entitled Shaping Plato, Interpreting Plato's Philosophy Through His Geometry, Judith Bailey. Vice-Chancellor, that completes the list of graduates for me to present to you today.
We're now nearing the end of the ceremony, but first I would like to ask Shona Hoey, one of our wonderful new graduates, to come to the podium to propose a vote of thanks on behalf of those receiving awards today. Shona.
Hello, Vice-Chancellor, honoured guests, ladies and gentlemen, and my fellow graduates. It's my pleasure to be the one to offer the vote of thanks today from myself and on behalf of all the students graduating at this ceremony. I'm honoured to be the one to give thanks to the many individuals who have worked so hard to ensure the success of everyone graduating today. All of us will have had a network of people who kept us going in times of stress, regardless of whether they are friends, partners, family, ARU staff, or the bar staff at your chosen establishment. By the end of this speech, I hope I will have done my fellow graduates some justice in explaining how grateful we are to have all had you in our lives as we studied, worked, and procrastinated towards this day, our graduation. Firstly, thank you to the lecturers and academic staff who captured our interests and inspired us to achieve the very best we could achieve. They've been tireless in their efforts to impart their knowledge and wisdom onto us, and for that we'll always be grateful. Many of us have also had them to thank for the pastoral care and emotional support we received during the course of our degrees, and we really cannot thank you enough for this. Secondly, thank you to the numerous staff members behind the scenes who have supported us in so many ways. To name a few, the administrators, librarians, IT technicians, security, those in facilities, student services, the Employment Bureau, chaplaincy, and the Students' Union. As an institution, Anglia Ruskin has provided us with so many opportunities, both academic and extracurricular. Volunteering, paid work, field trips, events, the list goes on. It's impossible for us to know just how much work goes into keeping the university running smoothly and providing us with the best overall experience. But we all know it's not that easy, so thank you for your hard work. Thirdly, thank you to our friends and families for dealing with us, especially during the last few years leading to this point. For many of us, our parents and guardians are the reason we're here today, both in the literal sense of hauling our staff to and from their houses each semester, and in the sense of the safety net they've provided us. Some of us are even parents too, and with the support of their partners and family, have achieved so much whilst providing the care for others that they so desperately needed. No doubt we're all pleased that we get to share this special moment with them today. And finally, I would like to thank my fellow graduates. I truly wish you the best of luck in the world and hope that you find whatever it is you're looking for, be that fame, fortune, knowledge, power, love, whatever makes you happy. I'm just glad that we all got to share the beginnings of our journey with each other at Anglia Ruskin, and I look forward to what the future brings. Thank you.
Shona, thank you. I now call for one final time on the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Ian Martin.
And now, will all those who have been presented to me here on the stage please stand? As Vice-Chancellor of Anglia Ruskin University, I hereby admit you to the degrees, diplomas, and awards for which you have been presented to me today. As a member now of the community of scholars, take all that you have learned into society and uphold the values of freedom and thought and scholarship. Our warmest congratulations to each and every one of you. Very well done. During the course of the ceremony, your friends, family and supporters have cheered and applauded and congratulated you on your achievements as you cross the stage. In recognition of what they've done to enable your journey here today, could you turn and face them and return the honour? Once again, congratulations and remain standing.
Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the ceremony, and I declare the proceedings closed. Will you please now all stand for the academic procession?
Thank you.